Hello. You may remember that last time we found these cards. It was an old Gengar deck that I used to be running. And today we're going to go through and sleeve some of the ones that need to be sleeved and also look through the strategy and tactics I was using when I was playing this deck. And if you want to see that other unboxing where we find this and a few other things, I've got the link in the comments description here. But without further ado, let's dive in and put these sleeves on these cards to protect them. And also for good measure, I'm gonna bring this cool backdrop over here and work above my few other things I got going on. And actually, let's bring down a couple of figures. We've got Gengar to hang out with us because there's Gengar in this deck, and Togepi because we also have some Togepi featured in this deck. Now let's check it out. You may notice my stack of sleeves also has a Thievel and Torterra and a few other shiny cardboards here that I had been meaning to put into sleeves, and so we're going to go ahead and do that now. Now that we've got these moderns sleeved, I was just going to say I really like the hollow pattern. I forget what this one's called. Shout out in the comments if you know. But you can really see it on the Jumpluff. Jumpluff was always one of my favorites in the Gen 2 Pokemon when they came out because obviously Pokemon began as a passion with bug collecting. And when you're out in nature as a kid, you find cool bugs, you put them in the bug box, you find cool plants, you pick them up, and Jumpluff always reminded me of that. So Jumpluff, Oddish, Sunflora, those were always some of my favorites. Now, as we go through the vintage portion of the video, I have this lightning energy snuck in here from that old Lugia deck that I was playing around the same time as the Gengar. In fact, the Gengar deck was primarily a counter to the Lugia because a kid at my local league was playing a Lugia Neo Genesis tech and it was dominating the meta locally at my game store at the time where I was. But we'll review the Lugia stuff later, so I'll put that aside. And this is also one of the sleeved ones from Lugia. We'll put that aside as well. If you want to see that other video, I've linked Lugia in here. I've also linked, as I mentioned, the unboxing where we find this one. And I also will throw a link for the unboxing where I found these little vintage figures in the box from out in my mom's garage. So I'm having fun sorting these out. I might as well clue in the link. As you can see so far, I've tucked our moderns aside here. Here's again the couple of energies from that Lugia deck I was running. And then these we're going through now are the Gengar deck that I used as the counter and defeat to the Lugia. Naturally, it's weak to Psychic, and I've got a bunch of special conditions working. So far, we've pulled out a few of our trainer staples, things like Switch, lets you real quickly swap out. Obviously, the Natu and the Xatu and the Jinx are really the only ones that need that switch because the Abra and my Ghost Pokemon that I was running, those are free of retreat cost. Got some Bill just to draw a little. Plus power used to be pretty good because 10 damage, that was could be a game changer, especially when you're heading for weakness. Oh no, it's actually after applying weakness, but even still, that was pretty good. Same thing with Defender. I'm not sure if I have Defender in here. And likewise with Potion, removing 2 damage counters. It's not a lot in the modern meta, but back then 2 damage counters was, that could go a long way. Recycle, another great one just to give you access to your cards. Plenty of energy, energy searches. Sometimes you just need to look for an energy card. Now, one thing that I realized about this card is that it isn't really that helpful because if you have energy search in your deck and you draw from your deck and you draw an energy search, you might as well have just had another energy card in your deck because that's really all it does. It lets you redraw specifically for an energy card. There's that Togepi we were talking about. Let's put him right there. Oh, and he's hanging out with the Gengar, nonetheless. We should center these two a little more. We should actually sleeve these two immediately, but oh, heck. I think I'll get through a few of these trainer cards first. Got our Haunter and Ghastly, Togepi. Ooh, first edition Focus Band. I really liked this because, you know, if I used to wear workout gear, I kind of thought of it as a focus band. It's giving me a little boost there, just like in the cards. Couple of first edition focus bands there. Oh, first edition Neogenesis Energy. Don't see that every day, I suppose. Got my base set to full heal. That's a pretty good one. I've forgotten what cards all I had in this deck. It's pretty neat to check through. Xatu, one of my personal favorites from playing Crystal back when it was new. Super Energy Removal. That one really was a game changer. And again, fighting against a Neogenesis Lugia, that one goes a long way because it then takes 3 turns to load up Lugia, and then on those 3 turns, it's wiping out pretty much anything in the game. As a basic Pokemon, that's fantastic, but again, start removing those energy, and that 3 turns to knock out turns into a 5 turn to knock out. So that's really a game changer when you're up against Lugia. Now let's finally put some sleeves on here. Stop making everybody nervous, myself included. Make sure to wipe your hands off before handling the cards. I always even get a little bit antsy if I'm physically holding a card for longer than just a couple of seconds, because I imagine, I was going to say I know, but really it's I imagine that the oils from my hand are leaking onto the card just in the seconds before it gets into the sleeve. I thought about wearing my gloves. I have some gloves that I sometimes wear for this, but I decided not to. Perhaps that's a decision I'll regret. And just for yucks, we'll sleeve the first editions that we have going on here. Before I do, I was going to say, here's the gist of the tech I was running for this idea. The concept was, again, very hyper-focused. Nobody was on internet forums. Nobody was on the meta discords were not a thing back when these cards first came out and when I was playing them, obviously sleeveless at my local center. So it was hyper-focused on what were the other people playing. And one of the other people, again, the fellow that I remember who was just dominating the local meta at that game shop, he showed up with a with again that Neogenesis Lugia, and it was a very simple deck, just almost nothing but energy, a lot of trainer cards, like things like Bill, Recycle, like he probably had some of these staples, and then Lugia as the basic Pokemon. And you throw Lugia down, you put some energy on it, probably there's a rainbow energy or two mixed in there, and it starts blasting out 90 damage every couple of turns. And back in that meta, that was pretty good. Obviously, Haymaker was a little bit quicker to set up, but not a lot of people knew about Haymaker, to be honest. And at least in my area, same thing for Rain Dance. Rain Dance takes longer to set up than you can really afford when you're up against Lugia. So I started playing the Psychic deck. Again, Ghost Pokemon are great because they can retreat in and out, no retreat cost. And particularly for Haunter here, because Haunter has that Pokemon Power Transparency, anytime there's an attack, flip a coin, and 50-50 shot that attack to Haunter is doing nothing. Likewise, you've got Nightmare, which is just hitting for 10 damage, so not a heavy hitter, but you're flipping a coin to see if the opponent Pokemon is asleep. And similarly, Ghastly has options to make it paralyzed. Similar options to, let's see, up to 2 energy cards. It can load itself up with energy to get a little bit more energy on it, preparing for the Gengar stage. And really with Haunter, you're looking at a 25% chance that the opponent's attack will do anything. Because on your attack, you get a 50-50 shot to put it to sleep. If it's asleep, great. It does nothing, obviously, unless the other trainer wakes up the Pokemon. And then you've still got the Pokemon power that is going to 50-50 shot to do nothing. So 50-50 that it's asleep, 50-50 the opponent attack does nothing. Fantastic. 25% that nothing's going to happen. And then later when Gengar comes out, it can start moving damage counters around the benched Pokemon. It's hitting for 30 damage or 60 to a Pokemon like Lugia that's weak against it. And that I think ended up being a decent contender. Likewise, similar concept on the Xatu. It is hitting for confusion, it's hitting for weakness. So generally just a one that's taking on, again, that specific tech that I was targeting. And where did my Jinx go? There it is. Jinx, kind of a draw engine. Again, psychic type, so it's really moving stuff around. Now, the Togepi, I remember it had, what was it? Mini Metronome. That's right. This was the attack that is pretty great for really if you're up against any heavy hitter. If you're up against even base set Charizard, if you're up against that Neo Genesis Lugia, flip a coin. If heads, you're copying the attack minus energy cost. So on this one, you're hitting for 100 damage, 90 damage, or whatever on one of those massive chase card heavy hitters, and you're not discarding energy. So that was great on a coin flip. But again, this deck was a little gimmicky, specific to target Lugia. I remember at another time I was playing with the meme deck, also a psychic deck, but it was where you have 4 copies of the base set Mewtwo and only psychic energies. And so what that essentially does is you, on your first draw, most likely you don't have any basic Pokemon in your hand, your opponent can choose to draw an extra card, and then you've got him. Because eventually the only basic Pokemon you're going to draw is Mewtwo, and then you put Mewtwo down, and 2 turns later, you just put 2 energy cards on it. Now you can just start cycling out Barrier, because you have 4 Mewtwo and 56 energy cards. So you're always going to have energy in your hand. You're always going to be able to put a second energy down, discard 1 for Barrier, then next turn put another down. And Barrier prevents everything happening to Mewtwo. So essentially, it's a stall deck. You allow your opponent to draw 1 extra card, and then you stall for 54 or 55 turns, and 1 turn before you run out of cards, they're going to run out of cards. It was one of the first meme decks. It was pretty cool. But like I said, this is one that I kind of just enjoyed the theme of Ghost Pokemon, to be honest. And so I threw in a little Sabrina because I like that character from the anime. I threw in a little Xatu and Natu because I really enjoyed Crystal and liked the Mesoamerican aesthetic of them. And Metronome, of course, heavy hitter. But that leads me to another deck I was playing a while back around the same time, a Clefable Mr. Mime deck that I'm still looking for. I thought I found it in here, but I'll keep looking for that. So anyway, longer video, not to ramble, but it's been nice to put some of these higher value cards in sleeves and enjoy the process with you. So see you in the next one. Again, if you want to see some of the links about where I found these figures, or even that base set Lugia deck I was running. No, not base set. Neo Genesis. My apologies. Check out some of the other videos. I'll put the links around in here.